To be honest, I don't really know what actually led me to start using drugs, but I know that like I know what kept me, that kept the drive for me to keep using drugs was just the way that obviously I felt when I was using drugs. Getting on stage and just feeling, invincible, or when I would obviously shoot up, the way I'd feel on heroin is just, it's just like the ultimate, feeling. You can't be touched, everything you're doing in that moment is perfect. So I think that's what just kept me to keep using. But then after a while, I wasn't using like that anymore. I was just using to get like well, so I would just get sick. So at that point it was over for me. It was like it wasn't really working out. Using and using just didn't really seem fun anymore. So that's why I started using. Obviously everyone uses because they think it's gonna be fun. It's a grand time while you're doing it, and then you start doing it and it just turns out to be the worst thing in the world once it ends. I'm not a big program guy. I have a lot of trouble. It's weird, I can sing to thousands of people, but trying to talk to like a group of 10 people about something like that was just really, really hard for me. I always struggled with it. So what I found most helpful to myself, obviously was just staying focused on my music. At first I used to just get on stage and sing and be fucked up, so it took a long time for me to try and get back to that point where I was able to get back on stage and get back to singing without being, under a substance. But that's really what helped me the most, was just playing and keeping myself on point in that aspect, making sure that I could get up there and do the same things I used to do high, and that's what kind of kept me going. My drive was to get clean and kind of stay that way. I was in Canada for my last little run. I was visiting my mom, and obviously I was staying with her, and I would just leave and go get fucked up, and then I would come back and I would be passing out at breakfast and falling asleep in my eggs and shit. And after a couple times, my mom just texted me and she was like, you can't come home because you're making my husband uncomfortable, you're making me uncomfortable. And the people I was staying with, I stayed there for 2 months, everything was cool. And then they started to get clean, and they were like, you gotta do something or you can't stay here anymore. And I kind of took advantage of that situation for a little too long, and they were like, you gotta go, we love you to death, but we can't have you here anymore. And I hit my mom back up, and she pretty much just straight told me, she was like, go sleep in a homeless shelter. And that kind of hit me a little hard, as your mom telling you to fucking, go be a bum. So that's what kind of really gave me that kick. I was really confused as to, someone that, birthed you and shit, you grew up with your whole life, didn't want you around. And that's pretty much where I called my manager and just said, yo, I gotta go to rehab. And I was in rehab the next day. Tour, it's weird, but touring it really helps me because my biggest problem is being bored. When I get bored, obviously, I think about using drugs because I got nothing to do. I'm like, man, I wouldn't be so bored if I was high. So obviously, touring right now, it helps me stay focused, and the shows and just the preparation, getting my set together, just using that whole left side of your brain, organizing and shit like that. That's what's really, really keeping me on point right now. I said this a bunch of times in a bunch of interviews. Even if I don't, make it, even if I relapse or I start using drugs again, I'm out here right now just to show kids that you don't have to be fucked up to enjoy your life. You don't have to be on a substance to do what you love or try and do what you love. So even if I don't stay clean, I just want to be out here showing kids that you can be sober and enjoy what you're doing. You can be sober and go to a show or go out to a party and just hang out with friends. You don't have to be fucked up to have a good time. So I think that's the biggest message I can give right now, is to just stay sober for yourself. It was tough at first, and I think obviously a lot of people, addicts, that's a really big part of them not wanting to get clean, is because they think about all the fucked up shit they've done to the people that they've done it to. And obviously you do something really fucked up to someone, you don't want to have to think about going back and being like, all right, I gotta apologize to that person. obviously, being myself, I had a lot of people to apologize to and a lot of things to do. But I took it a day at a time, man. I did what I could, and I tried to make amends for what I did to the people that I could, and most people, received it well. Obviously, some people were like, well, fuck you, you're still a piece of shit, but that's just something I gotta live with, man. And I'm okay with that. I named my AP after a Bukowski quote. It's just find what you love and let it kill you. And I think a lot of people, they might not understand the underlying meaning of that, but to me, when I read that, it was just like, I feel like there's obviously lots of stupid shit going on, tons of war, all that, obviously a lot of negative stuff. So what I just did was, I found what I love, and I just went for it. I focused on it. That's just the biggest thing I can say, is to just like find your niche, find what you love, find what you love to be creative about, and just go with it. Just try and release, let that be your release. Let all your feelings flow through that. Let all that negative bullshit be for the birds and shit. Just probably doesn't make any sense, but to me it made sense when I read it, and that's how I felt. Was like, this is how I'm gonna express myself for the rest of my life. And I think if someone finds that, it can be anything, a job they love, whatever, as long as you're happy with yourself, I feel like that's the best thing you can do in life, and just not worry about things that you can't control.